this book kind of set up 10 principles, okay, 10 principles of economics. And we're going to elaborate on these principles as we go on in more details and details. In these principles, we put it in three categories, right? The three principles and first category is dealing with how individual make a decision in regards to their economic activities. Okay. The other four principles we put in a category of how people interact with each other in the market. What is that principle they rely on that interact? And the last three would be how government as a whole, well, society as a whole, function. Okay, why the prices all goes up in everything? Why all of a sudden that we have right now, 20 plus million people are unemployed? They don't have job. It just happened, right? Because of this corona incident, it just came out of nowhere and hit our economy very badly, drag it into recession. Okay, or what can we do to bring it back on the track again, make it grow? Okay, these are the principles, the three principles on the last part that we're going to deal with, which is probably at the end of the our semester at the book. The last few chapters discuss about those. Yeah, let's just glance through here. Okay, these are again, economists try to answer to these questions, right? How people make a decision, how they interact, how the whole society function in regard to economics. Okay, just glance through all this. And again, economics exists because of this scarcity, this word here, right? Scarcity. Okay, let me just write that. Society has limited resources. Okay, cannot produce all good services that people wish to have. We wish to have everything, but we can't because we're facing limited resources. If the question comes true false, society has unlimited resources. True false, that should be false, right? Then economics is study of how society manages scarce resources. Yeah, just go through all this here. Economics study how people decide what to buy, how much to work, save, spend. You're going to see words around here that is changeable, interchangeable to other words. That they mean the same. It could be like firms. It could be how manufacturers, the same meaning. Suppliers, same meaning. Okay, decide how much to produce, how many workers to hire, and so on. Also, society decides how to divide its resources between national defense, consumer goods, protecting the environment, and other needs. Okay. Again, this first set of principles dealing with how people make decisions. Okay. People face trade-offs. Cost of something is what you give up to get it. Rational people think at the margin. Okay. People respond to incentives. Okay. Just glance through all this here. People facing trade-offs. Okay. What does that mean? Okay. In layman word, you can't have it all. You can't have both. Okay. There's a trade-off. Okay. You got to give up something. to get the other one. Let's say you have $10, you got to eat, and you want to go to see a movie. Let's assume the movie costs $10. The food you're looking to buy is $10. Well, you can't have both. You got to trade. Okay, you got to give up one. Okay, to get something we like, we have to give up something else that we also like. Okay? Because of, remember, that limited resources, okay? Scarce, because of this scarcity. Okay, going to a party at night before a final exam, well, you got to give up your time to study to go to the party, right? You can't have both. That's what it means. All right. Or in the big picture, protecting an environment, it needs money to protect our environment. Okay. Well, we got to get the money. We got to sacrifice from other needs that we have. Consumer goods. We should have less. Okay. Devote the resources to protect the environment. Or we want to go to war. Cost money, right? What, $1 trillion, $4 trillion, something like that, cost us to go to war in Iraq in that decade, right? But where that money got to come from? We have to sacrifice. We got to get it from. We're going to have less school. We're going to have less hospitals. We're going to have less park, highway. Devote those resources towards something else. Okay, that's why it says we face trade-off. We face trade-off. Okay. Let's go to this one. Cost of something is what you give up to get it. Okay. Well, we come up with this term. We call it opportunity cost. Get yourself familiar with that. Whatever must be given up to obtain some items. Okay, that's the opportunity cost. Well, we have two costs. We got accounting costs. We got economic costs. Accountant, if you tell him, okay, I went to college and it cost me 2 years college. It cost me 10 years each year. It cost me $20,000. Okay, I got my associate from TCC. It cost me $20,000. Then accountant says, okay, in your book, your cost was $20,000. Then you go ask economist to say how much it cost me to go to TCC for 2 years. I spent $20,000. What is my opportunity cost? See, economists look at something else. What did you give up? Okay. Let's say in 2 years you could work for Walmart. You graduate from high school, you're not a very high skilled worker yet, and you get paid maybe $20,000 a year. Walmart hire you, says, okay, come manage this part of our store, and I give you $20,000 a year, right? For 2 years, then you could make $40,000, right? Then economists said, actually, for you, going to college in 2 years, that TCC gets your associate, wasn't 20,000, 10,000 each year. It's like you add up that 40,000 that you gave up. Actually, it costs you 60,000. That's what the opportunity cost. Okay, we're going to elaborate on that later in more details, but just get it right now. What is the opportunity cost? Okay. All right. Again, opportunity cost of going to college a year, tuition, books, and fees, and so on, plus foregone wages, how much you could make that you gave up. Okay? Going to the movie is not just the price of the ticket, it is value of the time you spend in theater. Let's say you were sitting there 2 hours, you could work in McDonald's, make $20. Then you add up with the price of ticket of the movie, then that's your opportunity cost. You can practice some of these, in case you kind of get the idea of what we're time to say about the opportunity cost. Okay, again, rational people think at the margin. This is another one. What do we mean by margin? Okay, what do we mean by margin? You got to figure it out. Any action you take, what is the cost of it, and what is the benefit you get? Okay, in economic or business world. Okay, let's say you hire another worker in your place, business place, to make extra $40. It costs you $40 for that labor. You pay him $10 an hour for 4 hours. It costs you $40. Let's say you running a pizza place. You own a pizza place. You think you need another person to come. Okay, you add one more labor to your crew. Then you end up selling extra $30. Okay, we're talking about margin. You spend $40 extra. Your cost went up on margin, $40, and you gain $30 extra. That's the margin benefit that you got. Okay, then is that economical? No, because your marginal cost was more than your marginal profit. Then that move wasn't rational. Okay, it's not good to take that action. Okay, as long as marginal cost equal your marginal revenue in businesses, okay, you stop hiring, you stop, expanding your business, bringing more cost. If this goes up and this doesn't catch up as much, then you quit. Okay? This is the threshold. We're going to talk about it later. You don't have to, you know, too much of it now. Don't go too deep on this. Okay, and there are examples of this in this slide. You just go through all that. And we know all familiar with this one. We have this common with animals. We like we dislike punishment, and we respond to prizes. Okay, and just like animals, you have pets, you give them a treat, and it comes to do it for you. It's just not here. If market give you some treat or some benefit, and you go with it. If action that kind of make you lose money, it's just like punishing you. You avoid that. Okay, we respond. It's something that induces a person to act, incentive. Or another example, when the gas prices keep going up and up and up, well, people finally learn, not to respond to that. They get rid of their gas guzzler car, big SUV, or big cars, go to more economy car. Okay, we're talking about now, society-wise. Or when we see something bad in our society, that could be used by government policy. If we find out the cigarette smoking is bad for society, mostly youngster, teenagers smoking cigarettes and all that, what policy can we make to make him quit? Okay, if it's free society, you can go tell those cigarette makers shut down the factory and not to make any cigarette, right? Or you can just not tell people not to buy cigarette. Okay, we put you in jail, we ban you, right? It's a free economic system, right? But what we have tools to manipulate it. We can tax on cigarettes, make it more expensive. Okay, when you get more expensive, those people can afford it. They are the first one they benefit from it because they can smoke and they be healthier, right? When cigarette taxes increases, teen smoking falls. We know that. Okay. All right, then again, go through all this here, and we do some practices as we go along uh, throughout the chapters. The second set of principles is dealing how people interact with each other, right? We learn in probably chapter 3, you will see that trade makes both parties better off. If I'm good at doing something, somebody else is good at doing something else. We do our stuff, we bring it to the market to sell it, we both benefit. We're going to have both more of both those products. That's what it means. That trade can make both of us better off. Okay. Another one is market usually a good way to organize economic activity, and we're going to talk about that when the prices uh, okay, hold on just a second. Okay. Then market usually a good way to organize economic activity. As you see in that clip that we just saw, uh, how all those items from all different parts of the world came to make this uh, 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 pencil. Okay, how neatly they organized. One part making something, the other part making something else, and finally they come up with that finished product that everybody benefit from. Okay. Uh, let's say here, I see some hands goes up and down. That's okay. Again, if there is question here, just stop me and write it down here. Okay. All right. Or raise your hand. Either way, doesn't matter. Okay. Now, the the seventh is dealing with how government can sometimes improve the market outcomes. Okay. Just right now, well, we got with these two phenomena. One, virus, corona, and the other one is the uh, looting in uh, and interruption in our economic activity. Okay. How that going to affect our economy? What government can do to fix these things up? Okay. How government can fix these things up? Uh, that's the bread and butter of macroeconomics. That's what we're going to talk about in this course. Again, let's see. Okay, we're going to prove that the countries benefit from the trade. Okay, right. Uh, uh, Market again is a good group of buyers, sellers go interact. Okay, it doesn't need to be a single location. Nowadays, this is on internet, right? Organized economic activity is determining what goods and services to produce, how much of it to be produced, who produce and consume these things. Market decides that. Adam Smith is they call it uh, father of modern economy. He wrote it in his book Wealth of the Nation in 1776. That it's kind of look like an invisible hand operating in society that harmonized economic activity of people and deciding what to buy and where to work and uh, how much to spend is the market that does that. Okay? That's what the foundation of this free market economic system that he discusses in his book, and we're going to elaborate on it more deeper and deeper. Again, economic system, uh, one, we call it far right, which is based on classical economies idea of free market economic system, hands off of the government, economic activity by government, and another system which is far left, which was communism, socialism, or central plan economy that uh, decide from the top. The government decide what to produce, how much to produce, and who gets what, and all that, right? These are two extremes of two economic systems, which really doesn't exist anymore. Even if you look at China or Russia or maybe Cuba, still, pretty much extreme to the left, or Venezuela extreme to the left, and not much economy far right, not anymore. But we are kind of merging into the center. Okay? We are merging into the center, applying those two systems to emerge into a new system that government can intervene to bring equality into the system, uh, and also give some freedom to individuals. Okay, even Chinese working on it. Okay, even United States or European countries that called so-called capitalists, kind of bringing more government tools into the system, like Social Security, like Obamacare, is not, actualized 100% yet, but most other countries, they have free medical for everybody, or we got Medicare, we got Medicaid, and things like that. We're going to talk about all this as we go. Just give you a glance of it right now. And also, as I said, markets are usually a good way to organize economic activity. And it brought up by famous economist Adam Smith that wrote the Birth of Nations in 1776, and says each household and firms act as if they led by invisible hand to promote general economic well-being. Okay? But again, we're going to talk about prices, how prices determined, okay, by the interaction of buyers and sellers in the market. Okay? An invisible hand is a price guide self-interested household and firms to make decisions that maximize society economic well-being. Okay? Let's go back to the last set. I'll give you some example here on this slide. What are example of some of these principles that we just discussed? The last set, it says how economy as a whole works. Okay? Like, well, the standard of living. How do we measure it? Okay? The standard of living of Americans, let's say, is higher, or maybe 4 times higher than Mexico's standard of living. What do we look at? How do we measure that? Or principal 90 says, okay, why these prices keep going up? Okay, I remember when I was your all age, I bought my first car for $2,000. It was a Nissan Sentra. But back then they called it Datsun. They changed the name of the factory and all that. Now they call it Nissan, right? And the same car, maybe a little bit more features here and there, costs probably 14,000, 13, $14,000. Why is that so? What makes the prices go up like that? And we deal with this principle. Well, in the long run, we find out that is uh, inflation is uh, cause of printing too much money. Okay. Government printing too much money in the long run, it causes inflation. Okay. We're going to talk about that with money and banking. Principal tendency society faces a short run between inflation and unemployment. That's probably the last chapter of the book. Sometimes we won't be able to get to it, but we try. All right. Now, glance through all this here, okay? And, okay, there's at the end a slide that tell you the summary of this chapter, okay? Give you the summary of this chapter. All right. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, okay. Well, again, I'm going to go, yeah, this is being recorded. You have access to it. Okay? You have access to this. Let me just go ahead. Uh, Stop it here.